let's get to the top. That's SummerSlam predictions. Fantastic card. Really excited about it. A lot of fights, which is great. A lot of matches, which is a little different than some of the recent pay-per-views. Some of the recent pay-per-views have been like maybe 4 or 5 matches that they give them a lot of time, 30 minutes. This is a very packed card. So we're going to start with the first match. Not necessarily it's going to be a fast match. Other card, but what's the first one we're going to talk about is Sami Zayn versus Braun Breaker for the Intercontinental Championship. They had a really cool match at Money in the Bank. Was surprised Braun Breaker didn't win that one, but maybe just a little bit of paying the dues. Let Sami get one more last win before maybe the end of his title run comes. And I am fairly confident, and the betting odds recently that came out is that Braun Breaker's going to win. He's a pretty strong favorite. Could you give any reason why Braun Breaker does not win this match at SummerSlam?
Not any good ones. I'm totally with you, man. Like, especially with, Sammy's win and Money in the Bank, it really did feel like paying dues and, giving him at least one memorable win in this title reign. But it's Braun's time. He's the future. It makes all the sense in the world. And it's to the point where if he loses this, it could cause irreparable damage to that momentum. So it makes all the sense in the world to just crown him, make him the monster that he's looking to be. And, the sky's the limit in terms of a reign. You know what I mean? A long reign would not be out of the cards for him. It would make all the sense in the world. Dude has all the tools. He's made a great impact since his debut on the main roster. The crowd is behind him. It makes all the sense on their second biggest stage of the year, basically right behind WrestleMania, to go ahead and crown him, strap the rocket to him, and see how far he can take it. So yeah, Braun all the way on this one. Anything other than that would be a real big mistake at this point, and I think even Sami would see that.
And you nailed it with possibly hurting his momentum and stuff like that. And that's why I was a little bit surprised that he didn't win in Money in the Bank. I thought they would just, they're putting the rocket to his back and they're just going to go full force with it. And maybe you get the rematch with Sami at SummerSlam, and that's how the feud ends. So the fact that he lost surprised me a lot, and that's why I think it's just a guarantee. I was surprised also that he lost clean to it, though. Maybe there'd be some outside element that, will cost him, but he looked strong. But you know what? That says a lot about how they feel about Sami, that, yeah, he's the underdog, but they let him get big, clean victories. They're kind of keeping him in a space where he's just kind of hovering around that main event level, and maybe he goes on to something else. But yeah, I fully agree. I think Braun Breaker gets the win here. Moving on from there, another title fight, and this card is packed with title fights. It's mostly title fights except for one. Bayley versus Nia Jax. This is another one where I think the heels are going to get it. I mean, I can see it going either way, but I just think Nia Jax, in her second run, she had such a questionable reputation with the fans just because there was this belief that she would hurt her fellow wrestlers and her fellow employees in matches and all this kind of stuff. But the second time around, Nia Jax in better shape, even better wrestler, better performer. Honestly, as much as Bayley earned her title win at WrestleMania, I think Nia Jax has earned this win at SummerSlam and to really cap off her run recently that started with Queen of the Ring, and I just to set up the biggest, baddest heel on the women's side of the division. What are your thoughts on this one?
Yeah, I'm totally with you, and that's crazy to say. Ask any wrestling fan a couple of years ago, if we'd be in a Nia Jax renaissance, but here we are. You know what I mean? She's been a fantastic addition to this roster. And a fantastic character, which is a bit of a surprise too. Like her being Queen of the Ring was so the right choice, and she's been tremendous with it, throwing her weight around, like the dominant matriarch of the SmackDown brand, that kind of thing. So it's been really fun to see. And although Bayley, is beloved and has been doing great with the title, a title win seems like the right move here for a lot of reasons, not least of which what that would set up with the X factor in this whole scenario, which I think is Tiffany Stratton. Her having the Money in the Bank briefcase and her kind of siding with Nia over the last, few weeks or so, that kind of thing, like the interplay that they've had, in the past, sets up a nice little dynamic between the two to where it's like, can Nia actually trust Tiffany and vice versa? And, it'd be a lot of fun to interplay them before that, between that, with Tiffany potentially cashing in on Nia's title reign. So, yeah, I think that's a hell of a lot of fun. And way too good to pass up. And Nia's really paid her dues, and her getting a title run for no matter how long it may be, it makes a lot of sense, and I'd like to see it.
Yeah, it's fascinating how good she's been, and just such a important part of the roster and just so valuable and unique way. And I think you nailed it. Just they've got too much set up with her and Tiffany to not continue on with that. And also, just shout out to this new regime, which we shouted them out a lot and since they took over with, and that what they've done to make the being king and queen of the ring different and refreshing and valuable, and that you don't need to walk around with the crown and like Nia has no crown, but being branded queen of the ring, Gunther, general, king general, those kind of things. Like, instead of having a robe and all this silliness and stuff that was done and like should have been done in the 80s and 90s, like, I love that they have the tournament. It still holds value. It sets up world title matches at one of the biggest shows of the year. I love that element of it too, and that you don't have to gimmick it up. It's almost like, winning the play-in tournament or winning a season tournament in college basketball, or those kind of elements, like home run derby champ. It's like a cool 3-point title winner, slam dunk competition, like a cool achievement during the season that matters, but even more so in this. And I love that it did that. So yeah, I agree. I just want to mention that too. Moving on from there, we're in agreement so far. LA Knight versus Logan Paul for United States Championship. This is an interesting one, and I'm very interested to see how it is on Friday night. What is the reaction? Because this is Logan Paul City. He's coming back home, and we all know as wrestling fans, even if you're a hated bad guy, coming home makes you a babyface. And that's going to be a really weird but fun dynamic if he's cheered and LA Knight's the bad guy. How do they play that? It makes it a lot easier. It's going to be even more so. SummerSlam, you got a stadium, as a whole stadium going Logan. And that way, it puts him in a weird spot, because do you have the hometown guy lose in a stadium? But do you have LA Knight not get this crowning achievement of winning a title in such a big match? Like, he's so overdue for a title. How do you see this one going?
Yeah, this is an interesting one, and maybe I'm actually expecting title change city at SummerSlam. You know what I mean? Yeah. We talked about the first two matches, and I honestly think I think LA Knight's going to take it here. It's weird because Logan brings a lot of eyes to the product. Like you said, he's a hometown hero. It may turn the crowd, but if there's anybody that can keep that from happening, it is LA Knight. Dude has a way with words, has a way with the crowd, has a special connection to where maybe he can kind of fend that off. Maybe not 100%, but at least make it to where it's not so one-sided for Logan. This isn't just, a really, where Logan could just truck the momentum. But yeah, to your point, LA Knight is so overdue for a big win like this. And I think what the breaking point for me was that Logan got a big win at Mania, which was overdue for him too. Like, Logan was a big fight, player for a lot of past events, but he always took the L, and understandably so, because he's new to this whole game. He would just impress with his performance, not necessarily the win. But the fact that he got a big WrestleMania win kind of leads me to believe that it's okay for him to lose it here, and it makes all the sense in the world with LA Knight being the guy. A lot of people were pegging him to be the guy to take it off him at Mania in the first place. So if they're going to do it at SummerSlam instead, that makes a lot of sense too. And, LA Knight will be around a lot more. Logan is kind of in and out, at least in terms of defenses. He's defended the title maybe 3 or 4 times since he's had it. So having it a little more full-time on the brand could do SmackDown a lot of good, especially with, the move that they're going to make eventually to USA. So putting it on LA Knight, I think that's the move, and I think they're going to go ahead and pull the trigger.
Yeah, and I think this is the right guy where it'll probably balance out, because just one, if it was in a different city, I think it'd be slam dunk. LA Knight's going to win. The fact that it's home, I think that, makes it a little bit more interesting. But I think this is the one performer right now that is so beloved, so well liked, that it can trump even that hometown element. And I think that's key in making this the right kind of reaction, and he'll still get cheered and all that kind of stuff. And maybe it'll be split on a level, but it'll still be interesting. And I'm totally behind. I think LA Knight gets the win. He has to get it. Again, this guy, while still and he's in his prime, wrestling prime, he's his early 40s. Like, you got to pull the trigger some of these big wins and maximize it, because maybe he has only 5-6 good real years left, maybe more, but hopefully he has more. But you got to start, doing something with him now, build him towards that, and giving him some big spotlight. Moving on, I think this is where I think we'll agree. But since you mentioned SummerSlam might be a title change city, this might be one of the few that isn't a title change, and that is Liv Morgan. I'm sorry, the MVP in WWE this summer. She has been phenomenal against Rhea Ripley for the Women's World Championship. Big match, very a fantastic one of the best storylines on either brand right now. Going into this match, they did a great job of building it recently with Dominic really just trashing her in English and Espanol and making poor Liv cry that she went from being the heel to all of a sudden the sympathetic figure. Let's see if you agree. I think Liv's winning this. I just think, the only thing maybe she does is I feel like everyone thinks Dominic's going to turn on her. So maybe that's the thing they try to swerve us and they're like, no, everybody expects it. But I think they are smart at giving people what they want just at those right time in a right kind of way. And I think it's just fitting that a big swerve, a Dominic swerve, because Rhea can come back, win this, that'd be fair, but Liv has been so good, and then what's the payoff? All this work for her to try to woo him, and he just shuts her down, Rhea comes and beats her, and then she's just pushed aside. I just don't think that's worth it for all involved, especially Liv. I'm picking Liv here. I'm sure there'll be some interference, and that'll be one of the most fun things on the show. Very much looking forward to that match on August 3rd. What is your pick for this one?
Believing that Liv could beat Rhea at SummerSlam would have been unthinkable even a few weeks ago. Yeah. But as crazy as it sounds, I'm with you on this one, man. Liv has been tremendous, and this story is way too much fun to just put out to pasture now. Yep. There's still so much that they can do with it, and Rhea's the type of performer that honestly doesn't necessarily need the title, and she has plenty of time to run with it. Her first title reign, one of the big complaints was that she was so over and so dominant that it wasn't really elevating the rest of the women on the roster because nobody could really get to her level. Now Liv has, with her character work, the storyline, it makes all the sense to at least let her have it a little bit longer. And there's so many threads, so many ways that they could do it, to your point. Dominic's going to get involved at some point. And will it be, does he turn on Rhea to help out Liv? Was that all a swerve? Does he attempt to help Rhea and accidentally help Liv win, kind of driving a rift between him and Rhea? There's so many things that they could do with this. It's way too much fun. And the fact that Liv would be able to throw that victory in Rhea's face for the foreseeable future would just be so much more for her character as well. She's been tremendous. Liv is a ton of fun. So why kill that fun right now? I think if she hadn't been able to carry the ball when it was handed to her, things would be different. But she has exceeded all expectations. She's, stepped her game up in the ring, stepped up her character work. There's this new wrinkle where her being the scorned lover, basically. So how does she react to that? Does that make her a little more vicious in the squared circle? It's a lot to see here. So I don't think that there's way too much gas left in the tank to cut this story short and give it to Rhea. So yeah, I think Liv retains.
Rhea's just an elite performer at this point in the women's division. And I think a perfect example is The Rock, his success, and this is on purpose for him a lot, was he was a big believer in the babyface should be chasing. And that would be a perfect situation, one for Rhea, but also for Liv to be the schmucky bad guy, evil bad guy that keeps getting the upper hand. Rhea's an absolute beast. That's a perfect kind of performer to be on the chase. And then also I'm going to throw this in there just to add in the topic. If maybe they say, too many people are going to expect Dominic to screw Rhea here. Maybe they've been also laying these breadcrumbs, but maybe it's Finn. We've seen this kind of a divide with Finn and Rhea recently. Now she's come back. Finn and Damian. We also maybe took the hotel room card. Maybe that's how they swerve it. It's not Dominic that screws her. Maybe it's Finn here, and that Finn really puts his cards on the table on where he wants to go forward, and that eventual maybe split of Judgment Day that we've even talked about. But speaking of Judgment Day, another top performer from the faction is in a major match, and this one's a tough one for me. I really don't know. And that's Damian Priest versus Gunther for the World Heavyweight title. I'll let you take this one to start. How do you see this one playing out?
Honestly, as crazy as it sounds, I think Damian retains here. And I think it's because a lot of the shenanigans that you were talking about. Yeah, like Gunther winning would be the obvious choice for a lot of reasons due to super dominant. I think that and it may not even necessarily be a scenario of I'm not sure. I don't think there's a no DQ here. So maybe there's a disqualification. You don't want that in a pay-per-view. But I think Damian, keeps the title at least for now. Putting it on Gunther, where does he go from there? You know what I mean? Like, I'm sure they could set up some feuds and things like that. And, like maybe Cena down the pike, you know what I mean? That would be fun. But to your point, Finn's involvement is what throws a wrinkle in all of this. And I think Finn and Damian for the title down the road makes a lot of sense. So that's why I think that Damian's going to keep the belt here. It's like, the Judgment Day is one of the hottest acts on Raw right now. Yeah, I was going to say the hottest, but there's a lot of the Wyatt Six has been stepping up and everything like that. But Damian, this seems like a thank you reign, but like Liv, he has stepped up to the plate and knocked it out with the belt. You know what I mean? Like his character work week in and week out. Everything with the Judgment Day has been a lot of fun. Like Carlito's involvement has been a hoot. But I think Damian finds a way to keep the belt here, and the tension between him and Finn, I think that'll be the focus going forward. And Gunther will be just fine. Maybe he gets a rematch at the following pay-per-view and gets it there. I just think right now, Damian getting it makes more sense story-wise, although it is close, like you said.
Yeah, I really can go either way with it. This will be the first one where we differ. I really do feel it's going to be Gunther. I just think they have been heading this direction. He's one of their top performers that they're really big behind. Triple H has been a big fan for a long time. I think, especially because there's this Bash of the Berlin event looming in the background. Bash in Berlin wasn't there for the next card, and it was, Bash in Berlin was like 4 or 5 months down the road. I can't see he's not German, but he's Austrian, which is like right there. They're next to each other. So it's almost like the same thing. So I can't see him being on that card and not in a major role. Maybe Damian gets the win here and they do the rematch of Bash Berlin, and that's where the title change happens. That could be conceivable, and it makes sense. He gets his hometown win. But that looming that's only a few weeks away too. Maybe that's and that's perfect because it's a few weeks away. You have the loss, he gets screwed, something like that, and then they do the rematch right away, and then he gets the win in a hometown crowd. But even then, I still just think it's Gunther. They like to crown the new stars, the new big things at the big event. For example, Brock Lesnar beating The Rock. They like to have on the biggest stage possible a showcase of this is our future guy, Braun Breaker. He's getting the win against Sammy on this, not on Money in the Bank. So I'm going to go with Gunther there. I really hope it's Damian, but I'm not feeling confident about our boy from New York's chances. Moving on from there, two guys who've been closely linked with Damian a lot recently. And this is maybe the most highly anticipated match of the card. It may not be a show steal. It may not be the best match, but it's just been one of the best stories right up there with some of the stuff that's going on with the Bloodline. That is CM Punk versus Drew McIntyre with guest referee Seth Rollins. And if Seth does not come out with some weird glitter referee shirt, I'm going to be disappointed. If he comes out with just something else, or he just comes out with a regular referee shirt with the sleeves cut off, I'm going to be very disappointed. He's got a few weeks to prepare for this. Give me something gaudy and absurd in a referee outfit, please, Seth. That'll just be perfect, and I'm hoping for that. But you can take this one too to start. What are your feelings on this? The early betting lines, I think a Drew is a slight favorite of some of the betting odds right now. How do you feel about this? Who's going to get this? Because this is not going to end here. This feud is not ending here. Who gets? Oh
no, not in the least. This thing is just getting started. Yeah, and if Seth does not wear the most outlandish referee outfit in the history of WWE, what are we even doing here? You know what I mean? Why even assign him to the task? But oh my God, this match, it's crazy because this is the only non-title match on the main card, and this is the most anticipated match. This has been brewing ever since, Royal Rumble, and basically since Punk has come back. You know what I mean? Like, Drew has made it a point to make Punk's life a living hell and vice versa. So it's finally coming to a head. They're going to get to it in the ring. And if I had to pick a winner, honestly, here for this first one, I'm picking Punk just for the simple fact that it would drive Drew so insane that the feud just picks up even more steam from here. Like, Drew has been talking so much about how he's going to wreck Punk, hating on him at every given moment. And for Punk to pull out the W here, I think Drew would not be able to cope with that at all. I think Drew eventually wins the feud, and that's what makes the most sense. You know what I mean? Like, Punk doesn't really need it. Drew doesn't necessarily need it either, but of the two, Drew would benefit the most from winning the feud. But to your point, this is just getting started, and I think the first step in the physical part of the feud goes to Punk for the reason that Drew would be so insufferable to dealing with that defeat that it escalates. And Seth has to play a role in this at some point. I'm sure, calling it down the middle, there's this and that, but at some point he's going to get involved. what that ends up being, I'm not sure what that'll be, but I think for this first chapter at least, Punk winning makes the more sense for the storyline. It'll be the most fun, and we'll see where they take it from there.
We're going to disagree again, back to back. I feel it's all the flip side. And part of why I feel this way is something we're going to talk about, a topic come up, and that's CM Punk's contract situation, which I think is interesting, and the value they see in him and maximizing that value. So honestly, I think it's going to be the reverse. And I think also Seth Rollins' inclusion in this match, to me, almost guarantees Drew's going to win. Honestly, Drew has to kind of get quicker payback, because what Punk has done to him has been far worse. Like, he's cost him the title, 2-3 times now? Like in WrestleMania, then at home, and then when he cashed in the Money in the Bank. So 3 times he's cost this man the title. I think there has to be repercussions for that. And also, I feel Punk is going to be the long-term winner. He's going to lose here. Seth's going to cost it to him, because in the end, we have to assume at this point they're working towards Seth and Punk at WrestleMania, or a big event coming up. So this is where that starts a little bit. Maybe they get physical in the match, stuff like that. So they're going to start setting that up in this, and while also getting Drew a win that he probably could use, something like that. He gets the first one. The first one's always a big one, and then Punk will get the next one in like some kind of gimmick match, dog collar match, or something like that, something fun. But I'm going with Punk here. I'm going with the Punk getting the loss here, which will be disappointing, because I'm getting to see it, and I will be wearing my Punk shirt, and I'm going to be disappointed to see him lost. But of course, my wife will be thrilled, because she's just a hater, so she'll probably be happy. That's
joining the hater game.
Moving on to the last match, which I would assume probably going to be the main event, and that is Cody Rhodes versus Solo Sikoa for the undisputed WWE Championship. 2 questions in one. One, who is your pick for this match? I think we'll probably agree. And does Roman Reigns have any role in this decision or the match, or any involvement at all?
Yeah, I think this is the one case where the obvious scenario seems, almost assured. Cody retains because Roman Reigns returns. Like, I really think, well, not necessarily because. Let's not, discount Cody just getting the win here. It might be a case of he gets the win, Solo and his bloodline start beating them down, and then we get the big return of Roman. That scenario seems like it would play out tremendously. But yeah, I don't think there's a scenario here where Cody loses the belt to Solo. That feud does not need the belt, and it's way too soon to take it off of Cody. He's been tremendous in the role. A white meat babyface that has not gotten the crowd turned on him at this point is super rare in this day and age. So they need to ride that pony as long as it'll take them. But yeah, no, I don't think anybody would be mad at that scenario. Cody retaining, and we get the first step in Roman's return, setting up that storyline with the bloodline. It's going to be tremendous. We've talked about how one of the biggest reactions that everyone is waiting for is Roman's return. And I think we're going to get it at SummerSlam, the huge crowd, all eyes on the product. The fall schedule is on the horizon, so having Roman involved makes total sense. Yeah, I think that's, it's the obvious choice, but not the wrong one by any means.
Yeah, I mean, we've talked about it, like the white hot reaction that's gonna happen when it comes out, and I'm excited that I will be there for that. I can't wait to hear my eardrums explode. But I feel the same way. I my early thought was, okay, yeah, it makes sense traditionally how a WWE booking has been done for Roman to cost Solo the win. But then I thought about it, I was like, you know what? We're in a time where we have some really talented people that are booking these things, and in the end, Roman helping Cody doesn't make sense. Character-wise, I don't think he would do that. Right. But I think you nailed it. That's where I would go. Cody gets the clean win, which he needs to get, because he's been kind of on the lesser end of this feud to help make it this new version of the bloodline seem more devious and fearsome. But he's going to get that clean win, and he gets jumped. The bitter, sore losers, they're jumping him, and that's where he's like, Roman, it makes sense for him to come and like, okay, enough's enough. I've had enough of this. I'm not going to help Cody. And also, I mean, there's got to be a Roman Cody rematch at some point. Maybe it does happen this year. Maybe that's set up. That furthers the storyline that Solo screws Roman out of winning the title, and that continues that and stuff like that. But Yeah, I think of every match on this card, that's probably the most predictable. I think that's the only downside of Cody's run. It's been a kind of predictable. We all kind of, if when he goes against Roman, that's where it's like, okay, how's this gonna go? And that adds a lot more intrigue to that matchup and stuff like that. But yeah, I don't expect that. I expect Cody to lose. And yeah, I'm hoping this is the platform for Roman to come back. He's been out quite a while, showing up at this event for this. I mean, there's been rumblings maybe to SmackDown, and I can see that maybe he shows up at the SmackDown following SummerSlam. I can see that too, but I think this is just too perfect of a stage just for a legendary kind of moment.
Yeah, and really quick, just that's talk about predictability. That's been Cody's MO, and it hasn't hurt him in the least. It was predictable that he was probably going to win the title at WrestleMania 40, and everybody was on board. So this being another thing of that, it's very weird Cody's run, how it's been predictable yet very well received. So props to him and props to everybody involved.